Using the toilet, I was able to catch my wife in the act of cheating. Reddit stories, Reddit cheating stories. It was positioned on the toilet seat. I wondered if it truly reflected what I had taken it to signify when I stood there looking at it in detail. I decided to lower the seat since my wife Sally has a pet peeve, and if I left it in that position she would have a seizure. I took this action because I knew she would find it offensive. I recently returned from a 3-day trip with a client who was traveling from out of town. I left my house after work, and the trip came to an end when I got back. The trip took 3 hours and 16 minutes altogether, including 2 hours and a few beers on the plane, an hour spent in traffic, and a final arrival home at 9 o'clock in the evening. I gave Sally a quick kiss and embrace before heading directly to the bedroom closet to find what I was looking for. When I made the discovery, I was present. Despite the fact that Sally is my second wife, a lot of people call her my trophy wife. She is quite beautiful. She is 20 years younger than me, at 48, and she is a genuinely happy and gorgeous girl. She has a great deal of talent as well. Her height is 52 inches, and she has a Playboy model's body. The fact that my first wife was having an affair with another man led me to decide to divorce her. I decided to get a divorce from her. My sense is that my story keeps raising the obvious worries I have. Furthermore, practicing law gives me the opportunity to witness some of the most unpleasant aspects of people. There was nothing more that would have led me to believe Sally was unfaithful. We had a good sexual life, or at least I thought so, and I never saw her attitude towards me change as a result of our sexual relationship. However, as I previously stated, even though Sally works as a lawyer for a sizable firm where I am the managing partner and therefore earn a lot of money, she still needs to be attractive to me. Each of our partners has a specific area of expertise, and together we handle a broad range of legal procedures. I went to talk to our guy, who was going through a divorce and other domestic issues, in order to start a conversation with him. Once, after I had burned him, I made him write a marriage contract that was sealed with iron ties. Certainly, I had a high level of protection. He agreed that she would be gone if we could show proof that she had cheated. I'm not going to behave like a snob in my own home, despite the fact that I have a lot of affection for her. We then started to move the ball. We entered into a deal with a private agency to handle investigations of all kinds, from adultery to insurance fraud. Word spread a few days later that Sally had gone to lunch with a young man and that they had spent a few hours driving to a nearby motel in her car. They were unable to witness what happened in the motel room in addition to not being able to identify him. A few days later, at another restaurant and resort, there was another performance. The next week, I had to go to a different area for 2 days in order to visit my client. It was reported about an hour after I left that a young man had come to my house and spent the night there. This time, they were able to get his identification from the car registration. Ultimately, it came to light that this person had been her high school sweetheart. I feel like she's never really grown up. Now, my guys came in, linked up phones to record, put VCRs in every room where cheaters would probably hang out, and even put a microphone in the headboard of the master bedroom. An attempt has been made to maintain security with all of these actions. My other trip was out of town and it lasted for 2 days. After 2 weeks have passed. Upon my return, the investigators had a ton of stuff waiting for me, including all of the audio and video recordings that had been made, complete with time and date stamps. When he finally showed up late that afternoon, he parked in my driveway, used his key, and entered in the front door. She gave him the key, saving him the trouble of picking up the phone. She met him in the hallway while wearing a garter belt, high heels, and stockings that reached her thighs. Nothing more exists. It was rather enticing to look at her, she was beautiful and sensual. This is why I married her, but now it was for a different reason. She kissed him and put her arms around his neck as soon as she was in his arms. Then she flung herself into his embrace. Her body pressed into his and his hands cued her ass as they stood there for a few minutes, just tasting each other. She took his hand and led him into the living room, where they shared another kiss because she was so good in bed with me. She was really amazing with me because of this. Not long afterward, he was kneeling in front of her, his face buried in her womb, and she was sitting on the edge of the sofa. Their faces were close to one another. He must have had a lot of talent, in fact. Then he turned her over so that she was facing away from him and on her knees, and he gave her a screaming orgasm from behind. He was a stud and she exuded a certain something. We are going to have to pause for a moment. He completed getting undressed while she was pouring the martini, and they sat down, naked, sipping and talking plans and strategies. She was pouring the martini at this point. The two of them planned to be able to flee together even if they lacked any financial means. I gave her a piece of jewelry that cost over $1 million, but she couldn't get it without my help because it was concealed in our safe deposit box. I gave it to her as a present. Not having her around, though, would still allow me to open the safe. The following statement was made by Sally: "I know how we can get a lot of money from my husband. How were you able to take me hostage? In just a few weeks, we have to attend a significant wedding. Why is that necessary? There is a good chance that he will want me to dress to impress and wear all of my jewelry because he enjoys showing me his collection of jewelry during the wedding reception. I really did plan on running away with all of my valuable stones. I'm gonna take off and fly to Rio de Janeiro so I can get there before the sun comes up. During this interval, you are going to post a statement on that platform demanding $5 million as ransom for my safe return. Once the funds are transferred to you, you will have the chance to travel to Rio with me." They resumed their sexual encounters when the ignorant individual developed an interest in the idea. The idea of him performing on the steps, let alone with her in the many positions he took her in, had never even crossed my mind. In fact, his performance caught me off guard. She started making some amazing noises in the bedroom after some time had gone. That did not, however, justify her behavior, and I was determined to make sure they were made to pay for what we had done. I had never been able to accomplish anything like the way this person handled himself before. I did not want to take any chances during this process because I am knowledgeable about how insurance works. I gave her a plastic jewelry piece as a gift when the wedding day finally came. It was incomprehensible that she was unaware of the difference. It would seem that she took out for Rio de Janeiro and vanished from sight. I felt relieved to be able to part from her. Except for the few of cents in her pocket, I knew she carried very little cash on her person. She carried very little cash with her. After she had cancelled all of her credit cards and closed all of her joint bank accounts, I made the same decision. I have no idea what she was doing, even if she had the cash to stay in a hotel. I'm not sure what she was up to. He made an effort to get the money that had been requested, and the police were ready to meet him right away. He was found guilty of attempted extortion and sentenced to 5 years in jail. If you want to be sure that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, you should subscribe to our channel. Since the narrative that comes after this one is completely different from the one you are currently listening to, you should also make it a point to listen to that one as well. If you are under 18, you really should not even consider listening to the one that is going to be offered to you.